Okay, portals. I need to talk about portals because um, everybody's talking about portals, and I don't think y'all know what you're talking about. um, Specifically, I mean all these like 222, 1111, 88, all these dates that are being called portals. That's not a portal. Or that is not where I see portals. I experience portals very directly in my day-to-day existence as a human being. And so pointing to arbitrary dates on the Gregorian calendar makes me think that there's possibly even a pointed confusion going on here, a purposeful confusion going on here to obscure where we really see portals in our day-to-day lives. Especially because we run from them, for most people do. Like portals, the real portals in life is birth and death. The real portals in life are moments of transition, of dramatic, rapid change. It's that point when you cross a threshold and there's just no turning back. It's that moment where something happens and nothing is going to be the same from that point going forward. For better or worse, we have catastrophic situations, portals. We have abundant and beautiful portals. We have portals that are both of those things. We often have to go through a destruction process, or things have to be left behind in order to, whenever we move into a new space. So, most people are scared of drastic change. Most people are scared of death. Most people are scared of birth. These are moments that, especially in, the Western colonized world, which if I'm speaking to you through the internet, then you're interfacing with that in some way, that colonized mindset. In that world, people are so afraid of actual portals. And so seeing people be like, ooh, yeah, portals, 222, everything's gonna change. It's like, we don't even treat birth and death with the respect and the care, and we don't treat life-changing moments with the care and the respect that they deserve. And then here we're running to these arbitrary dates that are supposed to be portals. Make it make sense. Make that make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. That's just what I mean. I think it's like one of these things that's actually a targeted it's like getting people focused on this thing over here, and so that people won't actually focus on what's really important, what really matters. Like, we're looking for this magical, mystical number, but meanwhile the most mundane things like birth and death is the most magical. Those are those moments. So why are portals so important? Why do they need so much attention and care? Because think about the difference between a birth or a death that doesn't have any support or any care around it. Like, that's the difference between a horrible experience and a great experience. Is a birth, like, anyone who has given birth or has been assisted in birth knows the difference between going through a birth that is a positive experience versus going through birth that is a traumatic experience is having the proper support around you and being empowered to move through it. And what's really dangerous, they're dangerous moments, right? These portal points are highly charged moments because there is such rapid transformation happening. So everything that happens at those moments has huge consequences going forward. How someone is born, the experience that someone has, that a baby has while being born, greatly affects the rest of that child's life. The experience that a mother has giving birth greatly affects the rest of her life. From that moment on, nothing is going to be the same. So whatever happens in that sort of concentrated point gets magnified into, you know, the period of time where things are sort of not changing. So if you think about life as this series of portals, your own birth and your own death being the largest ones that you experience in this lifetime, the largest portals that you pass through. And then in between that, there's all these other smaller portals. The next biggest from your own life and death is the life and death of other people that you help bring in to this world as a parent, as a mother, as a father, as a caregiver, as a grandparent, grandmother, auntie, uncle, sister, brother, like all of those points where people enter your life. Those are incredibly potent portals in your life as well. Your life is, you know, speak to any parent, speak to any child when their sibling is born. Everything changes after that point. Every time a person enters, there's a ripple effect in everybody that's touched by experiences that birth. And the same is true for death, right? When people who we love, or even just people who are in our physical reality day-to-day existence, even if we hate them, even if whatever our relationship is, when people exit, that's a final cutoff point. Nothing is the same after that. There's the same ripple effect that happens where everybody who knows that person, when someone dies, the people are affected. People's lives change in ways that there's no going back from. Negative, positive, right? So these moments, and then there's all these other smaller, you know, initiation points, right? Like big changes where you move to a new place, or, you know, graduate school and go into a new field. Like that is a transition point, a threshold moment where you go from one space to the next. That is a portal. And, you know, this is why graduations or, you know, initiations or ceremonies that like marriages or unions or anything that is honoring like the completion of a cycle or the beginning of a cycle, and sort of, like that's why we have those ceremonies, to mark those moments, and to treat them with care. Like this is why it's a crime the way we treat birth and death, and putting them in hospitals is like, we also don't treat, a lot of times we don't treat those moments that could be traumatic, or, you know, like a relationship falling apart, or, you know, a devastating loss of a family home, or, you know, having to leave a homeland and go and live in exile. Like there's all of these moments that are portals, but because we don't treat them with care, because because the people who, birth workers, right, midwives, like there has been a targeted, campaigned program against these people who work at portals, people who are who help people across. That's why I'm saying, like, how is it that we treat birth workers and death workers the way that we do? How is it that we run from any kind of drastic change, or try to, we fear change? Like, why is it that we're running from the actual portals and then glorifying these like arbitrary numbers in the calendar as somehow portal dates? That seems so sketchy. Like, that's so, it's obviously a diversion tactic. Like, it's obviously like an obscuring smoke and mirrors tactic to make people focus on something. They're like, oh, portals are powerful, transformation is powerful, but it's happening right in our face every day. Like, portals literally every day. The portal is just the liminal transition space. So you go through a portal every morning when you wake up, and you go through another portal every evening when you go to sleep, or when you witness, the day transforming into the night, or the night transforming into the day. That is a transition point, and it functions the same. Like, think about it. How you wake up affects the rest of your day. How you go to sleep affects the quality of your sleep. It affects your dreams. It affects the kind of rest that you're able to get. These moments, if you can literally manipulate what happens in the upswing. Like, if you imagine these portals as like, rapids in a river, right? Every river has these narrow points where the water's moving really quickly, and then it will pool out into these large bodies, almost lakes sometimes, right? Where the water is moving slower, and it's kind of like, that's where you can swim, and it's safe to play, and like that's where the kids can like hang out. But the points where these nodes, these transition points, like if you think about the middle points of an hourglass, where everything, all the sand is not really moving that fast up in the large part, but when it's going through the narrow part of the hourglass, that's when it's moving really quickly. You can think about that feeling physically, like when you're in a bathtub and you take the drain out and you can feel the water going down that drain. It's like, you can't fight that in life. Like, the point of navigating portals is to get through them. It's really dangerous to be approaching a portal and to pretend like it's not happening. That's like the most dangerous thing to do. You're in that river and you're like swimming and it's cool, and then you feel the pull come in of, there's like, you're approaching a fast, the current's getting faster and you're feeling that pull. It's like, you gotta start, you gotta put your your floaties on, you gotta, get your helmet on, you gotta pay attention, you gotta put the distractions to the side. Like, if you're not acknowledging that this change is approaching, you can't focus on it, you can't adjust, you can't do what you need to do to get through it. And so a lot of people in life will go through portals but getting dragged through it, instead of seeing it coming and going like, okay, what do I need to be able to make it through? So like, really look at what's coming up ahead and prepare and get ready and like go through it. You know, and this is like, this can be applied on all of these levels, to the smallest portals, where, you know, if you're trying to make changes in your day, knowing that that first few minutes when you're waking up is really important, using that to sort of generate the momentum that you want to get going for the rest of the day. Or when you're going to sleep, right? Use understanding, what is it that I need to be able to actually enter my sleep space? What are the steps that I need to take to get there? What is it that I need to get across this threshold completely, fully, and get a full night's rest instead of getting dragged back to you know, wake up, or like to an incomplete transition, right? These are ways that you can literally create the day and the night that you want to have, is simply by working with those nodal transition liminal spaces. And then that works on a larger level too, right? With large life-changing moments, right? Like understanding that the way you enter into relationships, or the way that you enter into situations, impacts how that situation plays out. And so, you know, recognizing like, okay, I'm moving into this phase of my life. What is it that I need to release the last phase so that I can fully be present in the next one? And like allowing yourself to really change. It's riding change, right? Riding transformation, being able to actually go from one space to the next. Like that's what's dangerous about portals, is not moving through them, getting stuck at that point. And that's why actual literal birth is dangerous, is because when it becomes dangerous is when you get stuck. You need to move, everybody needs to move through, right? And that's what can be really horrible about death, right? Is when people are suffering and wanting to exit. And, you know, a peaceful death is someone who can leave, and really is not stuck in the process, in the in-between space, right? So this is, it's critical, in order to move through portals, it's critical to number one, acknowledge that they're happening so that you can adjust, and so that you can do what you need to do to sort of move through it. The other critical part about it, like I started out saying, is that you need support. I think there's a lot of healing misinformation about, you know, oh, you need to separate from people, you need to isolate to go through these transitions in life. And like, you know, if you want to shed people, like if you want to heal, you have to like release and shed people, and cut out the negative, and a lot of people talk about healing as being like a solitary thing, or needing to sort of go into hermit mode, or cut people off. And it's actually really dangerous to go through dramatic transitions without support. It doesn't have to be human support. So there are other ways that you can support yourself if you don't have human people around who can support you through transitions. You know, big transitions like actual giving birth, or, you know, some last days, like you really do need other humans around for that. We need people. We need our, like, doing either of those things alone that's not the way that humans are meant to come in or exit the world. It's just not. So yeah, we do need each other. But the smaller transitions, right, like, you know, going through something that really changes you, so let's say something really traumatic, or making a big move that maybe it has positives, like, you're going off to school, or you're getting a new job and you have an increase in money or an increase in career. But on the other hand, it has negatives, like you are really homesick, or you're moving out of your family home for the first time, so there's all this fear, right? Like, a lot of big portal moments are sort of equally positive and negative, or even the negative ones, like, that just feel purely negative, like traumatic experiences. Like, you're like, wow, I'm never going to be the same after having my heart broken, right? For the first time you experience pain on a certain level, or you experience something that makes you look at people differently or the world differently. It's like anything that changes your worldview, and you're like, oh, I'm no longer the same. Like, we can help ourselves through transitions, but they need to be supported. Like, whether it's human or not, we can have plant support, we can have animal support, we can have spiritual support, we can have ancestors and angels and non-physical beings that we call on to support us through transitions. But it is key to be witnessed. This is how the soul knows that it's reached the other side of the portal, is to have some kind of confirmation, to have some witness to the change that has happened. It's really, really painful to go through something and not have it recognized, to not have it confirmed, it's like, you can literally be like, hello, am I even here? Like, did this even happen? So when we're going through these life-changing moments, this is how you can call on, spirits, like even the spirits of locations, like returning to a childhood place after major things happen, like a heartbreak, or even a positive thing, like learning something that totally opens your mind, or gaining insight, or gaining a new, like, anything. If you return to a location that knew you before that change, that location will observe, the spirit of that place will observe you, and through that, like, you can feel it, you'll be like, you'll go away from home and you'll go through all these experiences that will change you, and then you come back home, or you come back to where you were before, and you'll be like, wow, I've really changed. I can really see how I've changed by coming back to this place that I haven't been to since before. If that makes sense. I feel like that's a easy tactic where you can use that to your advantage, to help yourself recognize the changes that are happening. Like, psychologically, when we're making changes, when we're going through experiences that break us open, one for negative or positive, or both, expand our awareness, change us, if we don't recognize it, it's like we can kind of keep going back. Psychologically, what it means to not pass through a portal or a transition that your soul is trying to go through, you'll keep circling back and sort of like trying to learn that over again. And that's what it means, like, when we say, we're really unresolved about something. People can go through the most horrific, traumatic experiences and find wholeness again because they're able to pass through that transition point and look back at it and go, okay, this is what that was. This is how it changed me, and this is how I'm integrating it. And if there's no point where we can, we need, this is what I mean, we need support. Like, we need a witness. We need to be witnessed to, and we need a reflection of ourselves to sort of confirm that we've gone through that portal, so we don't keep going back and trying to do it over and over again, or trying to figure out what that was. Like, keep trying to learn the lesson over and over again. There's a, what do they call it in navigating rivers, when there's a whirlpool that just keeps getting you stuck, going around and around. That can happen psychologically when we go through a portal, but we're unconfirmed, or we don't have confirmation that we've reached the other side. And that can be really dangerous. You can get stuck going in a loop internally. And it's just key to navigating life. Like, portals are just part of life. Life is just one series of portals, one after the other. And yes, there are periods of time in between where nothing is really changing, or things are just sort of accumulating. But those moments where we're going through rapid change, they really dictate the momentum, the motion, the experiences that we have on the other side of that portal. It's almost like, a crossroads, right? When you get to that point, of an intersection, you have the option to change direction. Your options are more open to you once you reach that threshold. So, yeah. Mind the thresholds. Mind your thresholds. Feel the pull when they're coming, and move with the flow, and use them as a point of power instead of something that you're backpedaling against, or trying to ignore, or it's these, like, dates. You can use trigger points, you can use anniversaries of traumatic events, or large losses that you've had, moments that changed you. Any trigger points, locations where things have happened that changed you. If you're unresolved about any date, anniversary, location, you can go back to those places and actively go through those portals again and confirm for yourself that you've gone through them by going back there. And they're not, what I'm trying to say is, they're not that scary. They're only scary if you ignore them, or you resist them, or you try to go through them alone. It's a wild ride. So yeah, let's not let the Gregorian calendar distract us from the power of portals in our day-to-day human existence. All right, that's it for today, and I'll be back with more esoteric topics, with more philosophy and cosmic perspectives. So I'll see y'all soon.